picture this. You are driving down the highway at night, and suddenly you just hit a bank of fog so dense that your headlights are basically bouncing right back into your eyes.
Oh, yeah. That is a terrifying feeling.
Right. You literally can't see the lines on the road. You definitely can't see the car in front of you.
No, not at all.
Your grip on the steering wheel just tightens up. Your heart rate spikes. And literally all you can think about is the immediate danger right around your bumper.
Well, it's an incredibly disorienting psychological state, right? Because your entire reality effectively shrinks down to, like, the 3 feet of visibility right in front of your windshield.
Exactly. And that fog is exactly what we are dealing with today. We are deep diving into day 4 of the Baseline Family Church devotional.
Such a good one today.
It really is. So if you are listening to this, you are right in the middle of a monthly church-wide fast. And today's source text is challenging us with a single, highly concentrated concept. It's just one word, really. Envision.
Envision. Yeah.
Yeah, and the subtitle of the day is Seeing Beyond What Is into What God Can Do. So the mission for this deep dive is to basically figure out how to use spiritual sight to see straight through the fog of your current real-life struggles.
Because, the reality of that highway analogy you just used is that the road hasn't disappeared.
Right.
The destination you were heading toward is still right there on the map.
Yeah, the road is still the road.
Exactly. The landscape around you hasn't structurally changed at all. Literally, the only thing that has changed is your ability to perceive it.
Right.
Your vision is obstructed, and that alters your entire experience of the journey, even though the reality of the road remains perfectly intact.
So true. And the devotional introduces this really profound framework for handling that obstruction. It suggests that true spiritual vision isn't about ignoring the hard stuff.
No, not
It's not about pretending the fog isn't there, And it's certainly not about pasting a fake smile over genuine anxiety.
Right, which we all kind of tend to do.
Oh, totally. But this is about developing the capacity to look right through the immediate struggle to see what is already being built on the other side.
And that demands a completely different way of interacting with reality. You are not denying the existence of the struggle. You are just denying its authority to dictate your future.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because before we can apply this to whatever you're fasting for this week, we really have to define what the devotional actually means by the word vision.
Yeah, because it's not what people usually think.
Exactly. The text draws a very hard line here. It explicitly states, vision is not imagination. It is not positive thinking.
What's fascinating here is that in our modern culture, we frequently conflate vision with, like, manifestation or mere optimism.
Oh, for sure. Just good vibes.
Right. We think of it as sitting in a quiet room, closing our eyes, and just daydreaming about a better life until our mood improves enough to basically face the day. But that is just wishing. Wishing is a passive human desire, and it usually originates from our own fatigue. Like, you are tired, so you imagine rest. You are broke, so you imagine wealth.
But the devotional defines spiritual vision as something entirely different. It says vision is the Holy Spirit revealing what God is shaping, preparing, redeeming, and building in your life.
Yes.
So it is receiving a revelation of a reality that is currently under construction.
Let's apply an analogy to that phrase, under construction, because it's so fitting. Think about walking onto a massive active construction site without a blueprint.
It's just chaos.
Pure chaos.
Yeah.
You see mud, exposed pipes, rebar sticking out of the ground, loud machinery everywhere. You look at that dirt and you just see a disaster. But if you have the architect's plans in your hand, you look at the exact same pile of muddy dirt and you understand, oh, this is the foundation for a living room.
Right. So you aren't ignoring the dirt. You just know what the dirt is actually for.
Exactly. Human optimism looks at the mud and tries to convince itself that the mud is actually clean.
Which is just a delusion.
Right, it is. But divine revelation-like, true spiritual vision looks at the mud, acknowledges how incredibly messy it is, but trusts the blueprint that says a foundation is being poured. True faith simply trusts the architect's plans over the temporary chaos.
Okay, but let me push back here because this is where theology often hit the wall in practice, I think.
Sure, go for it.
If I'm standing in this muddy, chaotic construction site of life, like maybe I'm dealing with a financial crisis or a deeply exhausting season of parenting.
Right.
And I just stand there staring at a blueprint telling myself it's going to be a beautiful house.
Well, I'm still standing in the mud.
Yeah, you are.
Doesn't this concept of spiritual vision just encourage passivity? Like, why lift a shovel if God is the one building it?
See, that is the core trap of misunderstanding vision. Having the blueprint doesn't mean you just sit down in the mud and do nothing.
Okay.
The blueprint dictates where you dig. It dictates your posture and your actions in the present moment. Think about it. If you believe the mud is just a disaster, you abandon the site. Yeah, you just walk away.
Exactly. You quit the job, you pull away from the marriage, you give up on the kid. But if the vision reveals that the site is actually a foundation, well, you go grab a shovel.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You endure the mess because you know the structural purpose of the pain. The vision doesn't replace the work, right? It fuels the endurance required to actually do the work.
That makes so much sense. But if spiritual vision is the blueprint, the obvious problem we all face is that it's nearly impossible to read a delicate architectural drawing when the alarms of your daily life are just blaring.
Oh, absolutely.
The stress is too loud, the schedule is too packed, and I think that brings us to the actual physical mechanics of this church-wide fast. Because fasting isn't just a test of willpower, is it?
No, right.
It's basically the volume knob for all that noise, like turning on the windshield wipers in that fog we talked about.
That's a great way to put it. It is the intentional deprivation of a physical comfort to heighten your spiritual sensitivity. And the devotional synthesizes wisdom from 3 different leaders to really explain how this operates.
Yeah, let's go through those.
First, Jensen's Franklin notes that fasting clears the fog so you can see what God sees.
I love that one. And then Craig Groeschel adds this really psychological layer. He says, your life is always moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts.
Such a powerful quote. And then John Maxwell caps it all off by stating that people rarely rise above the level of their vision.
Right.
And when you place those 3 statements side by side, a stark, almost mathematical equation emerges concerning the concept of trajectory.
So let's look at the mechanics of that trajectory for a second. If we take Groeschel's point that your life moves in the direction of your strongest thoughts, and your strongest thoughts are consumed entirely by the current unchanged circumstances of your struggles.
You just get stuck.
Exactly. You adapt to the chaos, you lower your expectations to match your current pain, which is exactly the trap Maxwell warns against.
And this is where fasting shifts from just being some religious tradition to a highly practical tool. Fasting violently disrupts that downward trajectory.
Yeah, it really does.
When you deny yourself food or whatever specific comfort you are fasting from, your body protests. It sends a craving or a hunger pang.
But instead of viewing that hunger pang as a nuisance, the fast turns it into a physical alarm clock.
Yes, that is the mechanism. Every single time your stomach growls today, it interrupts your stress loop.
Wow.
It is a biological trigger forcing you to redirect your strongest thoughts. You use the physical lack to remind yourself to look up. It creates a pocket of clarity, clearing the hog, just like Franklin described it, so you can shift your trajectory away from the immediate struggle and anchor back onto that divine blueprint.
And this actually echoes the central scripture of the devotional today, Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish.
Yeah, that's the foundation of it all.
It implies that vision isn't just a luxury for the hyper-spiritual folks. It's literally a matter of basic survival. Without that higher trajectory, we just wither in the current struggle. So the text poses a really vital question for you to consider while you feel those hunger pangs today. It asks, what does God want me to see that I've been overlooking?
Right. What are you staring at every single day but failing to actually perceive through a spiritual lens?
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because theory only gets us so far.
Sure.
Where this devotional really shows its weight is how it applies this vision to a standard, gritty Tuesday in your life. It doesn't leave us in the clouds.
No, it brings it right down to earth.
It really challenges us to apply this sight to specific environments, like our homes, our children, our workplaces, our church, and our own internal world.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, let's trace how this dual vision operates across just a normal day. You wake up, and perhaps there is deep tension in your home. The devotional openly uses words like strain and frustration.
Yeah, it doesn't sugarcoat it.
Not at all. It challenges you to look beyond the routine arguments and envision peace settling, healing flowing where there has been hurt. It specifically asks you to see hands held again.
Hands held again. I love that imagery. Then, you leave the house and go to work. Maybe you are staring at an inbox at 4 p.m., wondering if any of these spreadsheets actually matter.
We've all been there.
You just feel this deep sense of stagnation. And the text challenges you to envision influence where there was discouragement, and to actually see purpose in the tasks that feel unseen.
And then later that evening, let's say you attend a gathering at Baseline Family Church. It's easy to walk into a building, see the exact same people, and just feel a sense of spiritual routine.
Yeah, going through the motions.
Right. But the devotional pushes you to apply vision there, too. To look at the congregation and envision a quiet revival stirring in hearts. To see spiritual gifts awakening in your church family that honestly haven't even surfaced yet.
And finally, looking in the mirror at the end of the day, acknowledging your own exhaustion, but envisioning old cycles breaking and new strength rising. But let me ask the practical question here. Isn't there a danger that focusing on hands held again, while you're currently barely speaking to your spouse, is just, well, is it just delusional?
That's a very fair question.
How do we apply this without just pretending the bad stuff isn't happening?
We avoid delusion by embracing what we can call dual vision. Delusion is ignoring the pain. Dual vision requires confronting reality with brutal honesty first.
Okay, brutal honesty.
You have to locate the pain before you can apply the promise. You have to look at your marriage and admit there is severe strain here. We are not holding hands. You have to look at your career and admit the stagnation.
Because you cannot ask God to heal a wound that you are pretending doesn't exist.
Exactly. But once you acknowledge the reality with your natural eyes, you deliberately choose to superimpose God's promises over that exact same space with your spiritual eyes.
Wow. Superimpose the promise.
Yes. And this is where the mechanism of vision actually alters reality. Think about the psychology of walking into your living room. If your strongest thought is focused solely on the argument you had last night, you walk in defensive.
Oh, absolutely.
Your shoulders are tense, your tone is sharp, you are anticipating a fight, so, well, you often trigger one.
Right. Your vision of conflict creates more conflict. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. But if you use the fast to clear the fog, and you choose to envision the blueprint, the promise of peace, the image of hands held again, your physiology literally changes.
Yeah, your anxiety drops.
You walk into the room softer. You might be the one to make the first move toward reconciliation. The spiritual vision literally alters your present behavior, which begins to dismantle the tension. The vision of peace creates the environment for peace to actually manifest.
So you are seeing a future that is stronger than the season you are currently in. But for the listener who is exhausted, when the stress is immensely heavy, when the bank account is completely depleted, when the diagnosis is terrifying, how do they trust that this actually works?
It's hard. It really is.
When the struggle feels impossible, it's really easy for us to sit here and say, superimpose the promise. But where is the proof that this kind of vision has the power to overcome genuine darkness?
Well, the devotional answers that by pointing us to the ultimate historical proof of concept. It doesn't just offer a nice platitude. It points to the most extreme example of seeing beyond the darkest possible circumstance in human history.
Right.
It takes us to the cross and to the empty tomb.
Yeah. The text says, before Jesus endured the cross, he saw beyond it. He envisioned the joy set before him, our salvation, our freedom, our restored relationship with the Father.
Just consider the psychological and spiritual endurance required for Good Friday. How did Christ endure the physical agony and the spiritual weight of that moment?
It's unfathomable.
The writer of Hebrews tells us specifically, it was for the joy set before him. His vision of the future, the literal blueprint of your freedom and restored relationship, was so vivid and so concrete that it provided the literal strength to endure the unimaginable pain of the present.
So what does this all mean? The vision basically dictated the victory. And the devotional continues, noting that before Resurrection Sunday arrived, God had already envisioned victory.
Yes.
Before the heavy stone was ever rolled away from the tomb, heaven had already seen the miracle.
The victory was absolutely secure in the mind of God long before it manifested in the physical historical world.
Wow.
And that is the essence of what you are doing on this fast. Faith envisions what God is doing while your current circumstances still look completely dead and unchanged.
And this might speak directly to where you, the listener, are sitting right now. You might be in your own Good Friday season of struggle.
Yeah.
You are looking at a situation in your family, your health, or your career that just feels dark, defeated, and sealed behind a massive stone. And you are fasting, and you are waiting for that stone to move.
This raises an important question because you are existing in the space between the crucifixion and the resurrection. That is Saturday, the in-between
A
space.
Saturday, yeah.
And the in-between is precisely where faith and spiritual vision are demanded. I mean, it is easy to have vision after the stone is moved.
Right.
The challenge is having vision while you are staring at the rock and literally nothing has budged.
And this is the ultimate test of Groschel's trajectory concept, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Are your strongest thoughts today going to be fixated on the immovable size of the stone or on the historical power of the God who actually moves it?
Right.
Because the devotional makes a staggering theological claim here. It reminds you that as you look at your own life, your need for broken cycles and new strength, the literal identical power that raised Christ from the dead is actively giving life to your spirit right now.
And it is not a metaphor for personal growth. The claim is that the historical power of the resurrection is the active engine behind your spiritual vision today.
Yeah.
Good Friday guarantees that the darkness you're experiencing right now is not the end of the narrative. Resurrection Sunday guarantees that God's vision for your life is fundamentally larger than your pain, stronger than your current limitations, and just brighter than any fog you're navigating.
That reframes everything, doesn't it?
It really does.
Let's consolidate this journey. Today is day 4 of your fast with Baseline Family Church. We have unpacked what it means to redefine vision, rejecting the passive daydream, and instead choosing to hold the divine blueprint for your life, even when you are literally standing in the mud.
Yeah, grabbing that shovel.
Exactly. We examine the mechanism of fasting, how every physical hunger pang is designed to interrupt your stress loop, shifting the trajectory of your strongest thoughts.
And we also explored the courage required for dual vision.
Yeah.
The bravery it actually takes to apply that sight to the gritty realities of our homes and our workplaces.
Acknowledging the very real strain.
Yes, acknowledging it, but choosing to superimpose the promise of peace and influence right over it so that our posture changes in the present.
And we grounded all of this not in self-help optimism, but in the historical reality of the resurrection. Jesus saw beyond the cross, and because of that same power at work within you, you can see beyond your current struggle.
That's the promise.
The prayer at the end of today's devotional perfectly captures this posture. It's essentially a request for alignment. It says, Lord, open my eyes today. Help me see beyond my circumstances and into your promises. Give me spiritual vision that aligns with your heart, your word, and your resurrection power.
It is a profound prayer because it completely removes the burden of having to invent the solution yourself.
Oh, that's so good.
You are simply asking the architect to let you borrow his blueprint for the day.
Well, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as you continue your fast today. It's a provocation that builds on all the mechanics we've discussed.
Let's hear it.
If your life truly does move in the direction of your strongest thoughts, and if God's vision is essentially a guaranteed preview of coming victories, what would happen to the weight of your current struggles if you started acting, speaking, and praying today as if tomorrow's breakthrough was already a historical fact?
Oh, wow. If you truly believe the blueprint is real, your entire approach to the construction site changes, even while your boots are still covered in mud.
You aren't pretending the fog isn't there. You just know with absolute certainty that the sun is already rising to burn it away. Keep your eyes on the road ahead. You are going to get through this.